why we're still doing this. I thought that was Catholic. I heard that when we came in tonight, and it is not only a Catholic thing. Really, what catechism means is just a way of teaching. It's a question and answer is what it is. So we've been asking questions and answering questions, and we're going to continue. A couple weeks ago, we looked at question number 6. How can we glorify God? So you can just read along with me. We're going to just review and remind where our flow is. Question 6, how can we glorify God? We glorify God by enjoying Him, loving Him, trusting Him, and by obeying His will, commands, and law. Right, so important question, big question. And then question number 7 was last Sunday, what does the law of God require? Anybody remember those 3 P's? Started off.
Emma's not here.
Emma's not here. No. I heard somebody say personal,
Perfect.
perfect, perpetual. All right, see, that's easy to remember. Personal, perfect, and perpetual. And then he goes into the great commandments, right? Love God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, with your strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. What God commands should always be done, and what God forbids should never be done. All right, so question 7. What does the law of God require? Personal, perfect, and perpetual obedience. That we love God with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love our neighbor as ourselves. What God forbids should never be done, and what God commands should always be done. All right, so we're going to skip forward quite a bit tonight. We're going to go to question number 13, and the only reason I'm doing that is because questions 8 through 12 deal with the 10 Commandments, all of them. And we spent a good deal of time on the 10 Commandments last summer, so I'm not going to rehash that out over the next several weeks. So that's why we're skipping those, but it's just basically memorizing the 10 Commandments and the different levels and layers of that. Hopefully that kind of stands out in your mind a little bit. So we're going to go to question 13. Following all those questions about the law, we're going to ask the question tonight, can anyone keep the law of God perfectly? All right, there you go. Can anyone keep the law of God perfectly? Our answer was a little fuller than no. Since the fall, no mere human has been able to keep the law of God perfectly, but consistently breaks it in thought, word, and deed. Okay? So, can anyone keep the law of God perfectly? Since the fall, no mere human has been able to keep the law of God perfectly, but consistently breaks it in thought, word, and deed. All right, so this is an important question for us to answer tonight. Can we keep the law of God perfectly? And I guess the first thing I want to ask is this. Why is this an important question? Why is this a question we should ask?
So that someone can see their need for a Savior.
Okay, so we got to ask the question, right? Can we keep the law of God perfectly? Because if we can keep the law of God perfectly, which is what God requires, then we don't need a Savior. Right? And that's where these questions are going to take us or lead us in the long run. Okay? Why else is it important? Okay. Yeah, we've got to understand not only who God is, but we must understand who we are. Right? So this is very helpful in the way in which we approach God. Yeah, basically, we can just simplify it and say, is man basically good or not? That's what we're asking. Is man basically good or is he not? Right? I know there's a song on the country radio station that kind of, Luke Bryan says, I believe most people are. I think some of you know it. I believe most people are good. Right? And we've got to ask ourselves the question, what does the Bible say? What does the Bible say? Because if you believe that by and large people are good, then we should probably just leave well enough alone. If people are good, then in the end, they're gonna work this out on their own, right? I mean, that's kind of where this all actually goes. He goes on to say this, I believe them streets of gold are worth the work. The streets of gold are worth, so most people are good, streets of gold are worth the work. That's where the mindset that most people are good leads, right? If you believe that you're good, then ultimately you'll be good enough to get yourself into heaven. You'll do enough good that it will outweigh the bad. So we don't want to get our theology from Luke Bryan. We want to take our theology from the Bible. So what does the Bible say? Well, the Bible says, Romans 3:10. All right, so that's what we're going to be looking at tonight primarily. As it is written, none is righteous, no, not one. No one understands, no one seeks for God. All have turned aside. Together they have become worthless. No one does good, not even one. Now, that's about as simple and straightforward as it gets. This is not complicated. The youngest child in this room tonight can understand when it says, no one does good, not even one. That's really simple. So Paul's dealing with the universal nature of sin here. No one is exempt. So when it asks the question, can anyone keep the law of God perfectly? Paul's answer would be absolutely not. There is none righteous. Righteousness has to do with conforming to a standard, specifically God's standard. And God's standard is the law, and He gave us the pinnacle of the law in those great commandments. Love God with all your heart, soul, mind, strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. We said last week, you can't do it. You can't do it. There's no way we're gonna meet that standard. And so tonight, we're coming back and we're saying, that's right, we can't. Nobody can. No one has kept, will keep the law of God perfect. Now listen. You see there, right? No one, not one, no one. You know what that means? There you go. That's not hard to grasp, is it? There's not a mere human on the face of the earth that is capable of keeping the law of God perfect. Since the fall. Since the fall. That's what we're looking at tonight. So, not only has the entire human race been affected by sin, but this verse takes us even deeper. And it says that every single part of a human has been impacted by sin. It's what theologians call total depravity. So, total depravity means that, exactly what I said, every single part of our being has been infected, impacted by a sin nature. So if to put it in a silly illustration, if sin were blue, right, and you were just like, sometimes they look at the weather map, they have that kind of heat map, and you can see how hot it is in different places. Some places it's like red and then orange and yellow. Well, if sin were blue and we had a sin map, right, that we would look at ourselves through, parts of us would be really, really blue. Right? And other parts would be light blue, and other parts would be sky. But every single part would be blue. Right? There'd be no area that's left untouched. And so when we talk about the total depravity of sin, we're not saying that every person is as bad as they could be, or they've done every sin that they possibly could. But we, in our sin nature, are capable of any sin. The seed, the root of sin is there in every single one of us. Every part of us. It affects our heart. Sin affects our mind. Sin affects our will. This is exactly what Paul's looking at, right? When you think about the standard of righteousness, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, strength, love your neighbor as yourself. We don't do that. Paul's saying we cannot do that. Why? Because our hearts are deceitful and desperately wicked. That's the condition of all men apart from Christ after the fall. So our hearts impacted by sin. I know you've heard me say this, and I'll say it again. The big mindset today is follow your heart. Right? Do what feels good. That's a really dangerous thing to do. Our hearts are deceitful and wicked. Don't follow your heart. Follow God. But not only is our heart wicked, but our mind is impacted. You see that in verse 11? No one understands. No one understands. The Apostle Paul writes in Ephesians 4, verse 17, he says, I say and testify in the Lord, you must no longer walk as the Gentiles do in the futility of their minds. They are darkened in their understanding, alienated from the life of God, because of the ignorance that is in them due to their hardness of heart. So their minds are darkened. They're not capable of understanding the truths of God. Right? In fact, he writes in 1 Corinthians 2 that the spiritual things are spiritually discerned. For anyone, right? Anyone apart from Christ, God has to do a work in them to open their eyes and open their mind to see and know Him. Because unrighteous, no, not one. Heart, mind, and the will, we see there, no one seeks after God. That's probably the one that people kind of struggle with. No one's, you think lots of people are seeking after God. Well, are they really seeking after God? Are they seeking after the true God of the Bible? And a lot of people, even in a lot of false religions, they're seeking, but they're not really seeking God. Right? They're seeking someone who can give them what they want. They want a God of their own making. They don't want the God of the Bible. And so, no one is seeking after the true God. In fact, the Bible paints a picture of us, apart from Christ, as people who love our sin. Jesus Christ came into the world, came to his own received him not. You come to John chapter 3, and following that powerful verse in verse 16, God so loved the world, then it says what? Men love darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil. They prefer sin over holiness. They prefer sin over Jesus. Why? Because every single part of their being has been impacted by sin. Now, maybe you think, well, why are we spending so much time tonight talking about sin? Somebody's got to, right? Well, people don't like to talk about sin today. Churches don't like to talk about sin a lot of times. There's good churches that are still teaching these truths. But brothers and sisters, we cannot sugarcoat things and paint a picture of a God who sweeps sin under the rug and does not deal with it. Can't. God hates sin. And as His people, we recognize that we have fallen short of His standards. But then, as His people, we should hate sin. We should hate sin in us. And so, let me ask you this. Why has no mere human been able to keep the law perfectly since the fall? We have a sin nature, okay? So each one of us have that in us, impacting our decisions, our heart, our mind, our will. It goes deeper than that. We do have a sin nature, but the way Jesus described it, we not only have this nature, but it's in control. We are enslaved, in bondage. Listen to what he says, John 8:32. John chapter 8:32. You will know the truth. The truth will set you free. They answered him, we are the offspring of Abraham and have never been enslaved to anyone. How is it that you say you'll become free? And Jesus answered them, truly, truly, I say to you, everyone who practices sin is a slave to sin. Slavery, bondage, right? He goes on to say in verse 44, you are of your father, the devil, and your will is to do your father's desires. That's the picture of those who are apart from Christ, impacted by the fall. No one seeks after God. And so, the natural man is free to come to God. but he will not come to God because of his sin. He's in bondage. He's in slavery. God must set him free. Verse 12 says, all have turned aside. Together they become worthless. No one does good, not even one. So we have sinned, right? It's not that we're going to talk about this in the coming weeks. We want to look carefully at what sin is in our lives. We have inherited sin, imputed sin, but let's be honest, we actually sin. We actually sin in word and thought and deed. And that's where we go there, right? We consistently break God's law in word, thought, and deed. So we see the idea in thought there in verse 11, no one understands. We see the idea in word in verses 13 and 14. Their throats an open grave. They use their tongues to deceive. The venom of asp is under their lips. Their mouth is full of curses and bitterness. And there in verse 12 it says, no one does good. In our actions, we sin against God. We break his law consistently. Now, what can a person do in that condition? They are totally depraved and bondage to sin. You know what most people do when they hear that? I'm going to clean up my act. Right? That's what most people do. But when confronted with the law, right, Spurgeon compared it to a storm that comes along. A storm comes along and it just hits you in the face. You're like, oh, I better get out of the storm. Right? You're confronted with the law and it frightens you, and so you get out of the storm, right? And then once the storm passes, then you get right back to what you're doing. That's what the law does to a lot of people, right? They see the law of God and it frightens them, and they like, okay, I'm going to clean things up a little bit. But as soon as that storm passes by, they go right back to doing exactly what they've always done. A lot of people approach God like that. They what can I do because of my sin? I'm going to just clean things up. And that's what, when you start talking to people, well, I'll get things right, and then I'll get saved, and then I'll come to church, and then I need to clean some things up first. It doesn't work. Right? God has to do a supernatural work in your heart, and then we're new creatures in Christ. We have a new ability to live for him. So, what can we do in our sinful condition? We got to fall on our face before the Lord Jesus Christ, right? That's the answer. Right? We are, according to the Scriptures, we are without strength, ungodly. Our only hope is Christ. Our only hope is Christ. So, why is this important? Well, number one, it helps us to know how to approach God. So it paints a clear picture of who God is, but it also paints a clear picture of who we are. It also, I believe, helps us to understand the world that we live in. I mean, we look around sometimes, particularly as Christians, and we sometimes look at and it's not wrong, with disgust, but many times contempt. We look at the world out there and we think, what is wrong with people? Well, this is what's wrong with people. They are sinners who, apart from a saving work, are going to live like sinners. Right? And we need to keep that in the forefront of our mind, but by the grace of God, that will be me. That will be me. Don't ever lose sight of who you were apart from Christ. Because as soon as we lose sight of that, we become very proud. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Blind, but now I see. The grace of God at work in our lives. So when we look out there, don't look out there with contempt. Let this truth drive you to share the grace of God with others. This, I believe, is one of the greatest driving factors for evangelism in the world today. If it is true that sinners left to themselves will not seek out God, how are they ever going to find Him? Unless those whom God has sent share with them the good news. How will they hear without a preacher, Paul says? Brothers and sisters, we have been sent. We've been sent to sinners like us. Sandy Fry always says, evangelism is just one beggar telling another beggar where to find bread. That's it. We were sinners in need of grace. We found that grace in Christ, and we need to share that with others. Important question for that purpose. In the time we have left, I just want to pray together a little bit. And I don't know if any of you have taken my challenge to memorize Ephesians 3. Hopefully some of you have. I've been just immersing myself in this passage, and we need to pray that for ourselves. We need to pray it for the wider church. And so I want to close in prayer with our mind and our heart, not so centrally focused on us, but we want to focus on the world. Okay? There's a little book I have on my desk. It's called Operation World. And I use that book to help kind of guide my prayer time as I think about worldwide missions. And they have a website, they have an app. I'm just going to pull it up because I think it's helpful. So today, prayers for India. In fact, this whole month, that's not going to show up on the screen. That's all right. I think I can fix it, but I'm not going to mess with it. Prayer today is for India. Right? And it has been since the middle of June, and it will be through the 1st of July. India is a huge, huge country. Billions of people. Billions of gods. They worship almost everything. And we need to pray for India, that God would open blinded eyes and they would see the need of God. We have 3 missionaries that we support and partner with in India. One was just here, P.J. Mutai, who heads up Maranatha Baptist Bible College and Seminary, sending out pastors all over the country to reach people with the gospel. He's in the southern part of India, which is a relatively secure area in comparison to much of the country. Enoch Kumar, I'm guessing about an hour away from there. We have supported and partnered with the Kumars for many years. And then Samuel John, farther to the north in Jaipur. And that is an area that is filled with persecution. Anytime you start talking about northern India, there's a great deal of danger for the church and for Christians. So we want to pray that God would strengthen the church, certainly strengthen us, but strengthen the church in India, that He would strengthen these men that we have partnered with, Ties, Kumars, Johns. They have planted numerous churches throughout India, but the work is far, far from done in that country. So we want to just kind of leave tonight with our eyes set on worldwide missions and focusing on prayer for the church. So let's do that, and then we'll be dismissed. And I have a new slide who I asked for close with prayer on Sunday night. But Sterling, would you mind praying? Yes, praying for the mission, for the church as we dismiss this.